this is a quick tutorial on using master slides. It wasn't something I'd ever done before until relatively recently, but it's actually really good because it does mean that you can really, what it's for is for kind of having a template for your lessons, so that rather than having to create things from scratch or having to go into one you've already done and delete a load of stuff, so you can sort of pick up from where you know from your starting point, you've got a template ready for you. So this is a scheme of work I did using Adobe Fireworks, basically just creating images. And so here's a quick run through what I had. Classroom rules, they were always the same. Starter activity, left that on the board while I went off and did the register and such. There's your lesson title. I always used to like giving lessons a title, kind of gave it a, I don't know, just liked it. The lesson outcomes, so there's the learning objectives for the lesson, how they could meet them, so using different sort of ability levels. These are probably going to be specific to whichever school you're in, but this was how they knew what they would be doing in that lesson to meet the objective, depending on what level they wanted to achieve. A discussion point, so this was kind of an intro to the topic, and then another discussion point, their first activity, progress check, see where they've got to, another progress check later on to see where they've got to at that point, and another one. Either you could do these, well, it's up to you what you do, to be honest, but what I did, either these would be progress checks that would come up at different points during the lesson, or there'd be progress checks for each of the different ability groups. So if you're aiming to be developing, here's what you should have achieved. If you're aiming to be secure, here's what you should have achieved. Aiming to be mastered, here's what you should achieve. Whichever. So that's a typical kind of PowerPoint. So master slides. So each of these is a slide, fairly obviously. If I go to new slide, I have a number of these things available to me. Progress, 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 activity, 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 success criteria, extension, outcome, starter, classroom rules. Those are all master slides, and I have created them and I've named them, and now they're available to me. So for example, this starter task, if I wanted to do another starter task, I can go to new slide, go to starter, and now I have another one. And it's identical apart from these things, because these are obviously going to be different for every thing, but the basic background, title. So that's kind of how it works. So here's how you do it. So you go into view and you go into slide master, and this is where you're basically creating all of your master slides. So I have my classroom rules that basically is the heading, and the rest of it at the top. The rest of it's available to me to edit as I go on. If you always have the same rules, then you could just simply have your classroom rules in your master slide. So you copy it, go to view, go to slide master, go to classroom rules, paste those in. So now you always have those rules in that master slide, so I can delete the one off the slide itself. So then anytime I create the classroom rules slide, I have my rules ready. I can't edit them because they're the master slide, but they're always there. So if you always have the same rules or whatever you want to put on the slide, if it's not going to change, it's easiest for you just to put it on the master slide, and then every time you insert that slide, you're good to go. So right, back into master slide. So view and slide master. Lesson outcomes is blank. How will you hit the objective is blank. The activities, you could do whatever you want with these. Obviously, I introduced this idea of this little character kind of moving up the ladder the closer we got to the lesson objective. So if we stopped at 3 key parts of the lesson and said, right, where are we at? How's everyone getting on? Any questions? Any advice for everyone else? That kind of thing. However you want to do it. So 3 of those, one at the bottom, one in the middle, one at the top. I then also got into this progress check. I think because it looks a bit like a mobile phone battery or a signal thing on a mobile phone, the students kind of relate to it in a way. So there's your starting point, next progress check, next progress check, next progress check. You could also have the little man kind of moving up and down, so by the end is at the top if you wanted to. It's up to you. The reason why I use master slides, if we go to file and new and just create a blank PowerPoint, and we go to new slide, all we really have is these kind of layouts, and apart from kind of giving us some boxes, there's not really much there. As a starting point, actually, it's kind of useless. And also, point of interest, if I do create a new PowerPoint, the first thing I do is delete all the stuff that's on the slide so I can start from scratch. It's such a waste of time. So yeah, probably shouldn't do that. So the benefit of having a master slide or using master slides or slide master is that you can have a template that you work from, and you can have just things ready for you. So clearly having to lay this out every time is kind of a faff. These are individual little boxes, incidentally. There's just a little thing there, that's all I did. So having these ready, there's a couple of advantages. One, if you have the same things every lesson, you can just go in and use these sort of templates. If you've got like a selection of these, so like this progress check here, you could just as easily call that a progress check, I suppose. There you go, progress check. The benefit of having, there we go, of having a master slide is that you could have a choice. I actually fancy having, I don't really like the man for this, I might go for the mobile phone thing for this one. So you can just choose which one you want and have them all available to you. And so when you use your master slides, you can just choose the one you want for that particular lesson. Now, yes, arguably, it might be easier just to have a lesson done already and then just go in and just change the stuff you don't want. So I don't like any of this. This is going to be different this time. I can just change these. The extension is going to be different because it's a different lesson. So I'll get rid of that. And the picture is going to be different, so we'll get rid of that as well. In fact, there might not even be an extension for this one, so we'll get rid of it entirely. You know, it could be easier just to do it that way. Shadow as well. So you could circumvent the need for master slides just by simply using a previous PowerPoint and doctoring it. But I quite like having the master slides available. It just means that you've got more options in terms of recycling stuff and shortcutting your way into certain things. I hate this. This is awful. Shouldn't get rid of that. So you go into View, go into Slide Master. I quite fancy inserting a slide here, so I might insert a layout, play around with it, do what you want with it, then you're kind of good to go. And you can also rename the layouts so they actually mean something to you. So it's our plenary task. And then when you come out and you go to a new slide, you now have plenary. There it is. It's in the wrong place, but it's fine. Should be at the end. That's master slides. You might find them useful. You might find them utter rubbish. But you know, either way, that's what they are. Hope that's helpful.